How's everybody doing? Happy Wednesday. I'm going to make sure I'm on Facebook so I can see your comments. Man, it's a nice day today. Summer finally arrived in the Pacific Northwest today because it was stinking cold yesterday. So that was not summer. By summer I mean it's like 75 outside. In a few seconds, we'll be talking to Alicia, and she's in Ohio. I think it's pretty hot and humid there. Hang on, guys. I'm just double checking to make sure I'm up. I'm up. Okay. If you guys see me on Facebook, oh, 2 people have already commented. All right. Hi, Denise. Hi, Linda. Hi, Judith. Judith Ann. That's a beautiful name. All right. Let's do this. So, Wednesday is one of my favorite days of the week because I have a friend on. It's not just the Darlene show. I became convicted about a year ago that I wanted to help lift up other lady business owners like myself. So I usually put my guests into 3 categories. Oh, sorry, you don't see her yet, but her husband just joined her. Stephen, scoot into the frame a little bit closer to your wife like you like her. Okay, sorry, guys. You don't see them yet. Anyway, so I have other lady, what I call boss babes. So other colleagues, we've had some authors on some quilting authors. We've had some shop owners, what I would call talented end users. Today is kind of my favorite. Karen Lee was on several weeks ago out of Oregon, and she's another colleague, a Featherweight colleague. And so Alicia is another Featherweight colleague. She has her wonderful husband, Stephen, on joining us tonight. And we're going to talk shop. So I hope you guys are ready to laugh because I have got some funny questions for my friends. So, all right, let's bring them on. Everybody say hi. Hang on. All right. Yay. Say hi, you guys.
Hello.
Stephen, you're super excited about being on here, aren't you?
I'm not the communicator.
Oh, okay. That's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Totally fine. Alicia communicates enough for the both of you, so it's okay.
Yes.
All right. So, Alicia, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business, Featherweight 38? And you're in Dayton, Ohio. Is that right?
Yeah, we're in Dayton. So it kind of just got started out on a whim. I went to Indiana. My aunt actually is a very avid sewer out there. She's the person that I learned how to quilt when I was 12. And I will say this, our kids may be running in and out. So we've got young kids at home.
No, we're very forgiving of that these days with the COVIDs. We're all at home. Oh, there's a kitty that just walked by.
There's a kid. So I went sewing up in Indiana with my aunt. I had every intention on getting back into quilting. I started out with the Designer 1 Husqvarna Viking when I was about 12. I first came out with them, and my parents bought a lemon, for the lack of better words. It was in and out of the shop. So as I got older and I wanted to get into it after the birth of my first daughter, I had told Stephen that I really needed a better sewing machine than this. I mean, the Vikings were really well known in their heyday, and that's all that my family really used. So my aunt and my stepsister are avid sewers. And so I went off to the store to go get one and came home with another lemon.
Good Lord. 2 in a row?
2 in a row. So while I was waiting for my new sewing machine to be replaced by another new sewing machine,
okay,
they gave me a loaner sewing machine that I took with me to Indiana. And while I was up there, my aunt decided to stick a 1948 Singer Featherweight in front of me and was like, "Oh, you like old things?" And I just remember looking at it thinking, what do you want me to do with this?
Does this actually sew?
Does this sew? Yeah, it's like I had just talked to Stephen about how I wanted decorative stitches. I wanted
190 different ones.
Like anybody needs 190 stitches.
You know, all of these things that are really the sewing machine computerized type of thing. And so I'm backtracking, right?
Sorry. That's my dog. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Okay. So, I was backtracking just a little bit. She's sitting there and she's fumbling with this old user manual because it had been a while since she had threaded the machine, and going off of like testing the bobbin, like what's the bobbin case? What's that? And when we finally got it sewing, I remember it made this cute little clickety clack noise.
I love that. I love that noise.
Too. And ironically, there was 1940s music playing in the background. So I really had felt like I was in this time swap. So I packed my bags at the ending of my Indiana trip, and I came home and told Steven I need a featherweight. And he's over there, and he's looking at me like, you want what?
You want a really old machine? What?
You want to cut your own thread. You don't want to.
Right. I mean, that's what he was saying.
Thread your own needle?
Yeah. He was looking at me. He's like, you didn't want a basic machine like 3 weeks ago. And now you want a machine that is as old as your grandma, because my grandma was born in 1930. And you have to do everything basically mechanically yourself. And I'm like, yep. So
absolutely.
I found literally that next weekend we packed up our kids. I think at the time they were 3 and 1. And we drove round trip from Dayton to Tennessee to pick up my 1939, which I dubbed the name Clickety. So you'll see Clickety a lot on a lot of our Featherweight 38 videos. And when I got Clickety home, he was a disaster area. I mean, it was bird nesting. I remember crying, looking at him like, did I make a mistake? Did I do something wrong?
Why did you buy this for me?
Right.
Oh,
right.
That hurt.
So my little engineer over here took him apart, and we didn't really do a thorough clean on him. It was just kind of like taking some stuff off and looking at it and kind of appreciating for what it was in that time period, and really fascinated with it and putting it back together. And he made the clickety clack noise. And I just remember when we were doing all of this stuff, I just thought, man, I would hate for someone to go through this like what I did.
Yeah.
So that's basically the thought process and the birth of Featherweight 38.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have asked me, since Clickety is a 39.
I asked you this once. Go tell them.
Yeah, like, why wouldn't you name it Featherweight 39? Well, Featherweight 39, in my opinion, does not roll off the tongue like Featherweight.
It doesn't rhyme.
So,
Steven's like,
Marketing, no other reason besides it sounded better that way.
And it did.
It works.
And ironically, in my time of doing featherweights, I did have one 1938 come through my doors, and it was a very good friend of mine. Anybody that has ever worked with me, I don't really call them clients or customers. They always end up being my friends. I typically will have conversations with them for hours on the phone.
Yeah, I know the feeling, especially these days.
Yeah. And so her name was Cindy, actually, and she had a Featherweight 38. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, it was like this huge, big thing, because obviously mine was a 39.
Yeah.
So
Clickety. I love her name.
Yep. Well, Clickety's actually a boy, Darlene. I'm the oddball.
No. Girl, sewing machines are girls. No.
Clickety is my boy, and then I have a 37 named Stitch, which I did give to Micah, and then I have Stitch, and then I have a 22K, and her name is Eloise.
Oh, you have a 222? That's new. I don't think you had that when I talked to you last.
I've actually had Eloise for 2 years.
And you still prefer to sew with Clickety, though? Like, she's like your favorite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it weird how some of them...
Well, see, here's the other thing about Eloise. Eloise is in perfect, and I do mean perfect condition. So...
You don't use her.
Clickety is like Clickety is like your typical featherweight. This featherweight looks like it had just been basically beaten through the ringer. He's got scratches all over the back of his motor. There's clear coat missing in spots, decal missing in spots. But this one, man, he's got up and go. Like if I need to get something done, Clickety doesn't, with the featherweights, as you know, each one has its own personality. They're like their own little
true. I tell people that. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you can have 10 machines lined up in a row and all 10 of them will stitch totally differently. And some of them are very special. Like they just have like a hypnotic cadence and movement to them. And so you get it because I have a feeling that's Clickety.
Some of them, when you go over a little hump, it's like their whole entire machine just yields. Oh my gosh. Clickety's like, I don't care. And so I don't prefer, my 37 is kind of like that. My goal was, before we got super busy, is I really wanted him to kind of take it apart and look at the motor because I think something kind of was off. Eloise is also not in. So Eloise is still on the European motor. It is.
Oh, the 220. Yeah.
Yeah. My main thing with Featherweight 38 is I tried to keep things completely original unless something was very specific to the customer. Yeah. So if someone did not want to use the converter box, because as you know, with the converter box, there's a few things.
Yeah. It's a little bit more stuff to carry around. It's a little more cumbersome.
Yes. I mean, a lot of people going on foot, and they're heavy. I mean, for it being only about this big, it's still significant weight.
I just sold I actually had a 52 that came to me in that big shipment, and Linda from Texas will be on her way as soon as I'm finished with her, and I encouraged her because it was in such good condition to keep the original motor, the 220 versus doing a motor conversion, and so I'm sending it with a step up motor and stuff so she can use it and stuff. They work fine. I used to really shy away from them, but the more I got familiar with them, I actually prefer to encourage people to keep the original parts with the machine. And if they're running well, why swap them out? You can either spend $300 or more on eBay to try and find a original 110, which you have no idea how it was cared for before it got to your house, or you can spend $150 for an Alpha So, which is not an 86-year long motor.
Right.
Or you could just use a step up converter and stay with what you got. And if it's working well, I think that's the way to go. Keep the original parts on the machine wherever possible.
And we definitely did a couple videos about using the converter box because I know that when I was reading some of the different forums, other than carrying this extra piece, a lot of people were scared about lag time within the sewing. And I will say, I'm not saying that can't happen.
Yeah.
Again, going back to each machine is definitely its own unique personality. But I never saw a huge difference. And we have had a couple of them. Big Ben is the one that comes to mind that I think we switched over. Either that or it was Queen Elizabeth. I still remember their names. We named all.
I know all of my customer sewing machines names. It's hilarious. My husband laughs at me because I'll get an email from someone and they'll be like, this happened just last week on vacation. A good customer around here, her name's Jeanette. She has 2 machines. Vera's named because she was a pandemic purchase, quarantine crazy purchase at the beginning. And so she called her Vera after the virus. Isn't that hilarious? And then she picked up Vera's sister, Betty, from, it was a Centennial. Betty does not run like Vera runs. Vera is one of those special machines that just has super fast. It would put any modern machine to shame. Vera runs so well. But Betty is just not that tempo. So she thought something was wrong with Betty. Like, nope, there's nothing wrong with this machine. She's just not Vera. But anyway, we're having this whole conversation and my husband's like, your customers are strange. like, no, if I'm going to talk about any of my personal collection machines, I refer to them by name. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, especially when you're working on them, that's how I keep track of them. We've had 2 or 3 machines going at once, and it's like, he'll be over there like, they all look the same to me. And I'm over there like, nope, that's Louise. You know,
That's Louise.
that's
Eleanor.
so and so. And he's just like, just tell me what goes on what machine. And I'm like,
Put the one you want me to work on the table.
What's the funniest, I asked Karen Lee this in Oregon, what is the funniest thing you've ever found in a featherweight case?
I don't think it's so much the cases as we found a dead cockroach.
Oh, I had that happen too.
A full cockroach
Gross.
underneath one of them. We've had some pretty rancid cases come through the door. I mean, we've had to keep a couple of them out in the garage, and even then it was like, man, it wasn't, we've never really found anything interesting in the cases. A lot of the times when I was buying and reselling, or like even when people would buy them from eBay and then have them shipped to my house, I remember this one time someone had an eBay purchase shipped to my house, and I remember picking it up outside my door and bringing it in, and I just hear ka-clunk.
Oh,
and I'm sitting
no.
there like, oh my God. And I opened this machine. There was no padding, no bubble wrap, no, they had just thrown it in the box, and I was just holding my breath the whole time. There was nothing wrong with the machine.
Shut up. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have thought the bobbin winder was snapped off, the spool pin was broken. Like, I would have thought all of that.
No, she really lucked out. But I told her, I said, you need to get on eBay
and ding them.
You know, someone needs to be refunding you something, because that's quite potentially, you could have been, I mean, featherweight parts are expensive.
Well, and if it would have snapped something off of the body, you could have been totally out of luck. I mean, you can weld aluminum, but it's never going to look as pretty, you know?
Right.
Like
Right.
I've had people, now I've had one machine, and all of the machines that I shipped over the years, I had one, it was a service machine, had the bobbin winder, the actual winder, not the attachment to the machine, thank goodness, because that's a deal breaker. But that snapped off, and that's with bubble wrap and packing peanuts and, you know, a tight packing job. Like sometimes it just, you know, they drop kick those things. I'm convinced at FedEx.
We had one time, I'm trying to think of what year it was. I just remember it was, so the bobbin winder has the two, well, you know, they vary across the board. This one was a Bakelite bobbin winder. I think it was one of the 1950s.
Oh, okay.
And I remember when I opened it up out of the box, it literally just disintegrated in my hand. And I about fell off my rocker, because I think that one was I think we paid close to $300 for that one. Well, actually the customer did, because the thing was, is a lot of the times people, when they contact me, I have an actual, like a full on chit chat with them. We kind of go over featherweight history 101, just in a very small amount of featherweight history. You know, the difference in decals, the difference in straighted versus scroll. And then you've got two different scrolls that you're going for.
Right.
One being harder to find than the other one.
Right.
And in some cases, scrolls are hard to find in general.
It's true.
And I've had numerous people want like this perfect show quality featherweight, and it takes a very long time to locate that. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not saying it can't happen.
Yeah.
My 37's another one. I had originally bought that off of eBay, and when it came to my doorstep, I mean, it's in perfect condition.
That's nice. Those pre-wars are so beautiful with the chrome hand wheel and the squirrel face. And
yeah.
My son, we bought so we have a factory black side, like a complete black side that we bought on Happy Accident. We bought it from an auction site in Florida, and in the middle of the night, you know, and they were only showing it from like the back hand wheel. They were only showing it pictures from this side. We couldn't even see the faceplate. And so, I mean, we didn't pay very much for that. I thought it was just a post-war, you know, 1945 plus, you know, machine. And so it came in, and it was a black side. I thought my husband was going to have a kitten. Like, he was just like, oh, do you know what this is? You know, and like, I mean, it was like complete too. Like all the black bobbins, all the black presser feet, the
Oh,
black faceplate. Like that machine's like never leaving my house. Like,
right. Yeah. That's awesome.
yeah, but you never quite know. You roll the dice, and it wasn't in great shape when we got it. Like it was pretty filthy. But my son, who lives in Maui now, but when he was living with us at home in Arizona, he would sit in front of the TV and watch movies with the plastic glove and the naphtha. And he just sat there and rubbed that thing clean. It is immaculate. Like he got every gross, disgusting, dingy, you know, piece of old oil and grease off.
That's how he would wax the machines. I have pictures of him on the site where he's just sitting in front of the TV. He's got
Rubbing.
yeah. I mean, that takes hours. So I'm sure your son probably had a couple movies in.
He was probably a little high from the fumes because he was sitting in Arizona in the air conditioning because Lord knows we couldn't open a window. But thank you, Cole, if you're watching. I have several favorite machines. My favorite one to sew on though, I think, is my school bell. I don't know what it is about those 33s and 34s. They have a different movement to them than the other ones do.
Yeah.
I really don't know how to explain it. I had actually a 33, the production run, come through the shop when we lived in Arizona. And I looked at my husband because I had dated it. I saw the school bell and then I dated it. And I'm like, Andy, this is a 33. Because we only had a 34 at that point. That was our oldest machine. The first next production run, but still not a 33. And he was like, I said, I just so you know, if this isn't a family machine to this lady, I'm buying this machine. I don't care how much it costs. I want this machine. Because it was like the most beautiful movement on top of being like a 33. And the sweet, sweet lady came to pick her machine up. And I said, you have a pretty special machine here. She goes, I do. And I said, uh-huh. And I said, how did you get it? And she goes, it was my great grandmother's. And I'm like, oh. You should never sell this. That's what I told her.
I mean, at that point, it's like, I really want a younger, or I shouldn't say younger because they aren't really young, but earlier model featherweights. The problem that I've always found here, at least in Dayton, I just don't know if people in Dayton just never sewed. I don't see featherweights around here like most people are. I mean, they're on the auction sites and obviously they're all over eBay and stuff. That's where I've had to buy a lot of my stuff. Clickety was clear in Tennessee. I do have a couple girls that I've done a couple of their machines and they've bought machines from me before. Yeah. And they're up in Akron, Ohio, which is north of us, but they're finding them all the time. And I'm like, am I like missing something?
No, I think they're getting harder to find, Alicia. I really do. I mean, I think they have risen in popularity so much in the last couple of years, and in particular in the last 6 months with COVID, like with people taking their modern machines getting hung on the mask making projects and stuff. And then they bring out grandma's featherweight and she just chews right through whatever you throw at her. And so I feel like even in the last 6 months, I mean, I, as a dealer, because I have, anywhere from like 20, 15 to 25 machines for sale at any given time. I haven't had one to buy other than the big lot that I purchased, but I made that arrangement a year ago. I haven't even had the opportunity to buy one. And because I'm a business and I have a website and I have business expenses, I have to, keep certain margins and stuff. So if I have to spend more on the front end, it just means that the prices are reflected on the back end. And then that's another reason I think the prices are going up is because they're just really, really getting very hard to find.
Yeah, we have one that was an eBay mishap. And before all of this COVID stuff started like really transpiring, I was trying to sell it as like an as-is machine, but I think I'm just going to pull all of that. I think that is going to be one that we're actually going to fix up and just do, because I don't need to hold on to it.
Yeah.
But I had just noticed, I started Featherweight 38 in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to find steal of deals for not only myself for full restoration projects and resale, but also for the clients that would purchase the machine and then have us restore it for them. I was finding those at really good prices.
Mm-hmm.
And then I noticed, like in 2018, it just kind of seemed like there was a little bit of a stumbling block. Prices had seemed to go up significantly in just a year.
Yep.
And I just noticed there wasn't as much of a market that we were doing. So a lot of the stuff that I was finding was looking for the attachments.
Yeah.
And so I got into that. I have a whole wall of attachments. You just can't see it because it's off in the corner there. And then by 2019, we were getting ready for our wedding. And then I think I looked, he's not in here to verify this, but I think I looked because I was looking for a school bell. And I went on eBay and I about just crapped my pants. It's just the prices. And
I mean, thousands
my
of
main pet
dollars.
peeve about a lot of that stuff is when someone gets one, they have no clue what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
They haven't gone through the machine. They can't tell you front side from back side on it. And then they put $600 on there.
Yeah. Someone wants to know on Facebook, and then we have to jump over to Instagram because we're running up. Someone wants to know what a really good price is. I think this is just my opinion, and I want to hear what your opinion is. If you can find a 221, not a special one, we're talking just a regular grade, regular condition running 221, you're at about $500 right now. And that's not even from, I mean, that's also prices up here in the Pacific Northwest. But if you get a 350, 300, anything under that is an exceptional price. You grab that. I had someone on last week and they were looking for a 222. Those are even rarer and harder to find. And she found one for under $1,000. And I'm like, if you don't buy that, I will. Like that's a phenomenal price. So that's a good price.
Yeah, I'm saying if you can find one at $250,
oh yeah,
that's a steal.
Like buy that all day long. I wouldn't even care if it was running.
Exactly, because you can get that featherweight back up too.
Oh yeah.
You know, I would probably, of course, this was back, a couple years ago. I would pay over $400 for a machine that I was going to have to put $100 in parts plus time.
Yep, I do the same thing.
And at 22K, man, if you see one at $900.
I said, if you don't buy it, I will.
Yes.
Like, tell me who's selling it. All right, my friend, we have to jump off because we're going to be late over to Instagram. This conversation is going to continue on Instagram. So if you want to continue to follow the conversation, you can go over and find Featherweight Doctor. Alicia, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, of course.
I have a long armor on next Wednesday, and I'll be on Friday again for my sip and sew. Go look up Featherweight 38. She's on Instagram and Facebook, and you can follow Alicia. Thank you, Stephen, and Stephen's Adventures in Ohio. All right, I'll talk to you in a few minutes.